The Met has always been an enormously active museum, and with it also comes an enormously robust and sometimes even challenging exhibition program that the Met has pursued to diversify our stories and diversify also the voices that we invite be part of this great dialogue. An absolutely extraordinary show that we have is Sienna, The Rise of Painting. It is an enormous opportunity to understand the beginning of what we call modern painting, how painting kind of broke loose from an old tradition and basically started anew. Flight into Egypt is a fascinating exhibition. It is a story, but it's not been told. And I think that this exhibition examines and presents for the first time this deep relationship of Black artists with ancient Egypt. Black artists have been looking towards ancient Egypt for decades as a source of inspiration, as a source of symbolism. And with it comes an understanding of also the deep connection that Black scholars, Black archaeologists, musicians, theoreticians had with ancient Egypt. Caspar Friedrich is the iconic artist of Romanticism. His works, his paintings are the most beloved objects in German cultural history. So we are extremely excited to be able to show and present to a US audience this artist who saw nature as something that not only needs to be depicted, but that kind of mirrors his own psyche, that allows, so to say, a kind of a deep connection to nature. This exhibition, it brings together all the masterpieces of this seminal painter of the 19th century. Recasting the Past, the art of Chinese bronzes, is a fascinating exhibition. Chinese bronzes in ancient times were, of course, these enormously important vessels of power and prestige. And then artists starting around 1100 up to actually 1900, developed a whole new school of Chinese bronze making. Our show will bring that all together, and it will be a fascinating exhibition about Chinese bronzes that will be here at the Met and then will also be shown in China. So Monstrous Beauty shows Chinoiserie under a feminist perspective. It tells you the story and celebrates Chinoiserie, this kind of really fantastic, beautiful objects coming from the East to Europe, and they're creating almost like a craze and fascination about it. But with it came also an understanding of the Asian woman, which of course was a misunderstanding. It was kind of almost like a projection, a fantasy that came with it, that we reveal in regard to what these objects are about, what kind of vessels of people's imagination they are, and also how they kind of continue to transport a certain, almost like very misconceived idea of the East, and actually also of the women in that context. So an outstanding show will happen then, which is the new art, American photography from 1839 to 1910. So this exhibition tells an important story about the birth of photography in 1839 through the Civil War, then the invention and the advent of the first handheld Kodak camera up until the early 20th century. It is an exhibition that makes it obvious not only about the artistic ambition of early American photography, but actually also documents America, American history, American life in all its different incarnations, and probably even most importantly, how our ways of seeing, our ways of documenting, our way of understanding, and at the end of the day, how our vision was totally influenced by the advent of photography as celebrated in this exhibition. So Madame X is of course an iconic work for the Met. It is a beloved painting. And it's almost like an object that is full of eroticism, of charged history, of society in transformation, and certainly also of artistic ambition. John Singer Sargent, of course, is the American painter, but where he really came to the fore was in Paris. Madame X, being at the center of this exhibition, will expand even your deep understanding of Sargent, of this painting, but actually also shows you the whole development of this important artist. And in May, something that I'm very excited about, the Met will present the very first survey exhibition of Lorna Simpson's paintings to date. I think Lorna Simpson is one of the most fascinating artists who works in all sorts of different media. But it's painting that she kind of got so invested in as a means of not only expression, but also a means of kind of being connected with a whole history of painterly practice. So the Met shows contemporary artists, not only in special exhibitions, we also commission artists to transform, to change the Met temporarily. So I'm very happy to have already Ibol's outstanding sculptures here on the facade of the Met. And Tong Yang-tse's large-scale calligraphy paintings in the Great Hall. And in the spring then, Chinoiserie Jones's new sculptures for the roof garden terrace. So over the next 6 months, this next season, we have a lot to show you, a lot to experience, and I invite you to experience it all.